We'll call the meeting to order. Commissioner Brandhurst, will you give us the invocation, please?
We'll stand.
Mahatma Gandhi reminded us, it is the action, not the fruit of the action, that is important. We have to do the right thing. We may not be in our power, it may not be in our power, and it may not be in our time that there will be any fruit, but that doesn't mean we stop trying to do the right thing. We may never know what results come from our actions, but if we do nothing, there is no result. Doing justice is easy. Doing right is often terribly difficult, especially when we find that we must take a stand that makes us unpopular or when we realize that we owe an apology. May we leave this room today motivated to do right another wrong in our world, no matter how large or small that action may be. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have the roll call.
Commissioner LeBlanc present. Commissioner Brandhurst present.
Commissioner Gardner, present.
Commissioner Gleason present.
Commissioner Becker present.
All right. I don't see any faces out there I don't recognize, so I assume we don't have any citizen participation today. Can we get approval of the agenda?
I have some requests.
Okay.
I want to pull number 4. Well, actually, no, the consent, I can do the pulling stuff out of the consent agenda in this portion.
We'll do it in a second.
Okay, but then on the agenda itself,
Mm-hmm.
the public relations number 2, firm report, addendum and resolution. My understanding was that we were ratifying the contract that the staff signed on January 12th, and that was to be first, and that we did not give any authority in our last vote to do an addendum that extended that contract.
The addendum is separate.
I know. but
They're two separate actions. You can do them with one resolution or two.
I,
They're two separate considerations.
yeah, okay. Alrighty.
Okay, so
Okay, if that's
that being,
legit, okay, and then, I guess my other question is really more about, pulling the grant agreement for mentoring and the AMCD, number 4 and number 5 from the consent agenda out and put it in new business.
okay, well, we're on the approval of the agenda right now.
Well, what I'm just saying, I don't approve it as is.
Okay. So
I
what
would
are
like
your,
to move 4 and 5 that's in the consent agenda to new business.
By your own rules, it appears that that's okay.
okay,
It just requires your consent.
all right, so we're going to move 4 and 5 to unfinished business?
Yeah, to new business.
To new-
I don't even know if, did we cover this before?
Well,
Were
Well,
4 and
let's-
5
hang on.
covered? Did we ever discuss that?
Ms. Meyer?
I don't remember having a conversation about it.
I have no historical memory as to whether or not you have discussed these.
Has
If you
this
want to
ever
pull
come
them.
so are
If
you
there are questions.
number
about it,
4 and number
5,
5?
did they ever
Okay.
come before the
So we're
board?
gonna-
Well, it does every year.
Well, just because it comes every year doesn't mean that it came this year from the board.
Yeah, that's the reason presented for discussion approval of the consent agenda.
If we approve it as is, I'm approving something I've never seen.
Well, it was in your board book. You're
Oh, the
supposed to
board.
read it first.
I did, and I have questions.
Well, then pull it.
That's why I'm pulling it.
Okay, so 4 and 5 are being pulled,
Yes, and it's
and they're going to unfinished business?
New business.
new business.
New business. Okay. Okay, so 4 and 5 from the consent agenda. All right. Okay. having done that, do we have an approval of the agenda then?
I motion we approve the agenda as
With those
modified.
change, okay, with those changes. Do we have a second? Okay. All in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Opposed?
You oppose?
I don't think we need to move things around. This is fine the way it is.
Okay.
Okay.
So did that pass or not pass?
Well, I guess I vote for Commissioner
One for
Becker.
and one against, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right, then the approval of the consent agenda, and with those modifications.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as newly redistributed.
Okay,
I second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. No, Commissioner Brandhorst opposes.
Oh, we don't have, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, do we go back to? So,
Totally lost where I was.
Unfinished business.
Right.
That's number one.
okay. Unfinished business number one. Would you like to talk about Tallahassee?
Yeah, there's a report I wrote. I have so many papers here, I can't even.
Yeah, I saw
Where
it
it
somewhere
is.
here.
So, Commissioner Gartner and I attended the Rally Day, Tallahassee Day, on the 23rd, along with Assistant Director Dr. Pauls, Mr. Weaver, and our newly contracted PR representative, Mr. Robert Hawken. We visited with Representative Cindy Stevenson, Speaker Renner's aide's office, Senator Hudson's legislative aide, and Senator Yarborough's from Duval County legislative aide. We informed them that we had agreed with the changes that have been made to HB 7013 as it was amended. They actually removed the 10-year reauthorization out of the bill. They added 12-year term limits to board members, and that's prospective, so starting with the next election. And they reduced the 10 mil to 1 mil. Basically, we're capped at no more than 1 mil for mosquito control. And currently, as the bill stands, if it passes the Senate basically has the same bill, and I'm sure that Robert will repeat this. If it passes the Senate, the metrics will have to be developed by August of '24. We also asked the legislators and their aides to support the increase in the DAC funding. The governor had already agreed to add an additional $500,000. We asked for $1 million because that would get us to the statutory 14% max. I'm not sure, Robert, you probably have a better update on that, but I think we may have gotten up to $1 million. I think there's only like $26,000 of difference between, I think we heard last week, between the House and the Senate, and that may just be a calculation issue. Anything else? Representative Stevenson actually mentioned that she did not have issues with AMCD, because going in there, we thought she was not going to be a friendly. She was actually pretty excited to hear what we were doing. She's right now on Water Quality Committee. She's very passionate about that. I don't know if Gail and her had a very long conversation about horses. So she was very interested in what we were doing. And then what else? Just to let you know, the initial bills were generated by two things. And I think we all know what those two things were. The museum, and then Pasco County building a $37 million new headquarters. Somehow, and Robert, when you report, if you can give us an update on this, somehow Pasco County now issues seem to have been resolved because they're not mentioned much, but we were being mentioned in Tallahassee. that AMCD was building a museum. So we basically put the bullet, the bull, I forget what the
The
term is.
target was
The
on our
target on
back.
our back. And it was in the back of the wrong people. One was the Speaker of the House, and the other one was the Commissioner of Agriculture. Talk about making moves. We did sit on the State Affairs Committee. That's when they were hearing the bill. And the only recommendation I would make to FMCA in the future is do not hold the press conference at the same time the committee meeting is happening, because the special district representatives and all the firehouses, that, by the way, I was specifically told the only reason that component of the bill was pulled out was because of special districts and the Firemen's Association. So I think it probably was not a good thing and a good view for us to be, FMCA to be speaking while the committee was hearing the actual bill. And actually, they actually thanked the people that were there, that waved, and thanked all the legislators for actually making the changes, which was a unanimous vote. So I think in the future, because that schedule was published in advance of us going to Tallahassee, is maybe FMCA should look at, if we have another issue like this again, look at that timeline.
Can I answer that?
Yes, you can, Mr. President of the FMCA.
Yeah, I'll speak as the president of the FMCA and not here. Those committee hearings are not set months and months ahead of time.
Right.
But that meeting, the PR thing, was set very, very far back. So there was no way to know that that committee hearing was going to be at the same time. And the FMCA did have representatives and speakers at all the other committee meetings, and this was the last one at the very end, and we knew exactly how it was going to go. And the FMCA's guy told us we don't need to worry about it, it's okay. The press conference is more important. So, yeah, if there was a way to not schedule it, a committee meeting and that at the same time, we absolutely wouldn't have done it. But there was no way to know that that committee meeting was going to be at that time, because it's scheduled after we had this all set up.
Okay.
Because we work with the senator very, very far out to
Yeah,
get
but we were
his
being
time.
pressured. Commissioners were being asked to go to the press. We decided on our own
To go to the
to
committee
go
meeting.
to the
And that
committee
was
meeting.
great.
If
And
you
then-
don't think there
Yeah.
was a reason they did that on
Yeah.
purpose
Yeah.
to have everyone in mosquito control separate, I mean, that was,
Well, you know what? We didn't give them we sat in that hearing, and at the end of the day, you know what? We were told at DOT that it's our responsibilities as commissioners to be very involved with that legislator, whether we like it or not. Politics impacts us. So I think the right thing to do, we did it on our own. But I think in the future, FMCA should say, you know what? We need a few people to, even if you don't say a word, just to sit in and hear what's going on. And actually, it was very educational. I couldn't believe that when it got to that part of the bill, that bill had no debate. It was just like everybody was on board.
okay.
That was my reading.
All right.
I have a couple questions on
Yeah.
that. So with Senator Hudson, did he say why he didn't meet with you guys?
Well, Senator
We
Hudson
didn't
was
talk.
actually on the floor, and we met with his aide. He was on another committee meeting on the floor at the time. He actually told
It
us.
just looks bad for him. He's the one that made the bill for the Senate, and
No,
then he
no, no,
couldn't
no,
find
no, no, no.
time
I
to sit
thought-
with our people.
Time out. I was asked by staff to talk to Senator Hudson. Senator Hudson told me exactly what happened. He was approached by the Speaker of the House to actually have a companion bill on the Senate. He told the Speaker, I cannot have a companion bill until the House has a bill.
Mhm.
That's all he did. He actually mirrored when he went last week, if anybody watched the committee hearing, he actually did an all delete and copied word for word what was in the House bill. So I actually do not have a problem with Senator Hudson, because he actually did what he told me on the phone was going to happen, which was, hey, I was asked to take up the bill, and I told Speaker Renner, you send me a bill that I will just mirror the language. So that's,
That makes him look even worse.
well, you know,
I think-
Trish, I mean, these are the people that are in control. We can sit here in a public hearing and do a trashing of the public officials, or say it is what it is.
Okay. Mr. Hawken, are you ready to
Yeah.
give? May we hear from you?
Sure. Well, I can give you an update, and Commissioner Gleason has certainly covered a lot of the ground. Um, I'll start with that last point first, I think, as far as Senator Hudson goes. Commissioner Gleason is correct. The senator was asked to put a bill on the Senate side with regards to special districts. It was a priority of the Speaker of the House. Of course, you all know that they are from the same area. This happens quite frequently with one member on either the House or Senate wants to pursue something, and then they have to find a companion on the other side. And then you go, it's the duty to find out which the legislators is actually promoting that particular issue. In this case, it was the House side, and the senator was just waiting, as Commissioner Gleason said, was simply waiting to see what the product would look like coming out of the House before he advanced the bill. There are bill drafting deadlines that we have, and they are in this case they're right about the first day of session. So there had to be a bill in the Senate as a placeholder to get ready to move basically what the Speaker wanted. So that's where we are. The House passed the bill the 1st of February, Thursday, and as noted by Commissioner Gleason, there was the cap was put there, the reestablishment of every 10-year vote of all the districts was pulled from the bill. There was one section in the bill that was alluded to, the last section of the bill, that a special district work plan, and that is and so we all know that. That is, frankly, something that we really want.
Excuse me, Chairwoman, could you ask him to, is breaking up?
Yeah, you're breaking up just a little bit, Mr. Hawken, if you can.
I don't know if it's on our end or not.
Is this better?
Yes,
That's
yes.
better.
Yes.
That's better.
Thank you.
I'm having a hard time hearing you guys as well.
Okay.
Frankly. But where was I? On the developing the model and the goals and objectives and the performance measures and standards by August 30th, 2024. That has to be done by the coordinating council. That is something that I know Rudy doesn't, and the staff, they frankly really don't want in the bill. There has been a note from a letter from Senator Simpson to legislative leadership to take that coordinating council language out of the bill. At this point, it would have to be done in the Senate because the House bill has already passed and then sent back down to the House. That's something that the leadership is going to have to decide whether they want. It appears to me that this bill is obviously out of the House, and it's very close to completion because it really is a House-driven bill that it will be as is. At the same time, anything can happen as long as the legislature's in. We all have certain fire drills that go through. We had one yesterday where, Tallahassee is small, the capital is small, it's very small. And rumors circulate quicker than a wildfire. A rumor was going around that one of the Anastasia commissioners called Senator Hudson the other day, and next thing you know, that Anastasia is okay with putting the language back in there, back in the bill, to the reauthorization language back in the bill for every 10 years. this is just what we deal with on a daily basis up here. Rumors, as it said, it's Pasco, or it's the museum, and it's this and it's that. That's what we're vigilant to find out and track these things down. If indeed, members of the board, Senator Hudson, and things got misconstrued, I don't know how these things happen. And what I would just caution is that if you're calling one of the members of the legislature, you really need to be careful with your words. This is one of the leaders, someone especially that is, sponsoring the legislation. So things don't get taken out of place. And otherwise, it's our job to figure out what's going on and to tamp down anything and anything that could be a rumor that next thing you know, snowballs and they open the bill back up. I don't think any of us would certainly want that. But as it stands right now, the bill in the Senate has passed Community Affairs, did that on the 29th of January. It is scheduled for rules. The next rules, it will go to the Rules Committee next. The next scheduled Rules Committee meeting is the 14th. That notice, bill notice is tomorrow. There's a very good chance that bill will be put up next week on the 14th, but we won't know officially that it will be until tomorrow, probably about 6 o'clock. Other than that, I think Commissioner Gleason touched all the highlights of what happened. We did have a very good meeting with Representative Stevenson, I thought, based on the information that I heard going in, that she wasn't necessarily a friend of the district. In fact, I saw her the next day, and she thanked me again for bringing everyone in, and said that she really thinks it makes sense to have that as long as it makes dollars and cents, is what she said as she kind of reached in her pocket.
Yeah.
Okay.
To answer one of the other questions earlier that Commissioner Gleason had with regards to the museum and Pasco, we've heard a lot about museum. There's still rumblings about the Pasco, especially from the Pasco legislators. There's still some ill will there amongst the members of the House, especially from Pasco. So it is still up there. But it's easy to say museum, and we've heard that a lot. We've heard that from the Speaker's office. We've heard that from the Speaker's Chief of Staff. But the proof is in the pudding, and that pudding is the fact that bill passed out 114 to 0 out of the House last Thursday, and at this point we're in good shape with the House bill.
Okay.
And overall, I feel we're in very good shape to see the bill pass as is.
Commissioner Becker, did you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Hawken, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, hi, I'm Commissioner Becker. Before I start, I just want to make something clear that I'm not trash talking any representative, senator, or anyone that's elected in office. What I mean by that statement earlier was we have been going to the senator's office for many years, speaking with him in person. Unfortunately, we couldn't this year, but what is upsetting for us and constituents is that he has never come here. So the fact that he is the one leading that bill, that's what I'm saying makes him look bad. Like, wouldn't you want to see what you're making a bill about? He's never stepped foot on our property, even though we've spoke with him many times. We have a pretty good, I think we have a good rapport. I talk with him at our delegation meetings. He never really has anything bad to say. So it's surprising that he's leading the charge because he hasn't come here. And that's where I'm trying to find out information. Do you know anything about that? How could we get him to visit us and to see what we have, why it's called what it's called, that we've already received a $4 million grant that basically covered the entire construction of the building because it's a museum. So is there anything on that front being spoken of? I had written a 2-page paper for you on highlights about our organization. I'm not sure if you received it or not. But have you heard anything like that? Or do people want to come visit?
Robert, well, can I interject this?
No, I'd like to hear his
Well, no,
opinion
because
first.
he asked us to do, we brought in a letter of invitation, and Robert, am I saying this right? You said you advised us not to do the invitation at this point until we knew where the bill was going to land. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I really feel we were in the middle of trying to negotiate the best position that we had for this, and I just didn't feel that it was the right time to invite the legislators to the opening next month, knowing that there will be plenty of time, especially once this bill does pass. You know, we really had to take care of the business at hand. I can't speak to why the senator has never been out to Anastasia and why he's never been to the district, why he's never shown any interest in doing that, realizing that, yes, that is his home turf and it would make sense to do that. What I can say is that to the extent that I'm involved with you and the next senator, because Senator Hudson's, you know, he's term limited out. This is it. He has basically 30 days left. And by March the 8th, he will no longer, I mean, he'll still be a senator until November, but he'll no longer have another session, and he is basically winding down. So I guess what I would do is pledge to you that as long as I'm involved, the next senator from that area, you know, I'll get there. And that's, you know, that's sometimes what it takes. It just takes folks that deal with these people on a daily basis, and that we do the work in the summer, and that's with fundraising from our other clients and whatnot. And you know, we have a little sway in saying, hey, come on, I'm going to come down, I'm going to pick you up, we're going to go out there, we're going to do a tour. We do that a lot with our other clients, and we drive legislators to all sorts of businesses, from tobacco businesses to insurance businesses and whatnot throughout the state, and others throughout the state. So, but I can't speak to why he hasn't been. I hear the frustration in your voice and why you can be frustrated, why he is involved in this piece of legislation and hasn't been out or you know, and
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, constituents see what's happening, and I've had calls from them, and, you know, we're trying to play nice, and I certainly am, you know, so we want him to be on our side. And what do you advise us to say to our constituents that want to know why our own home team is against us?
well, I don't think he is. He frankly has amended the bill to take any repercussions, well, the bad repercussions to the district have been stripped from the bill. You know, you could argue that
He's helping us by
the
taking that.
the 10 mil to the 1 mil. I mean, that doesn't help. But I mean, seriously, were we ever going to get to
we're not
over 1?
Right.
You know, so
Well, I'm not that concerned with the bill per se. It's just that we're the ones being used as the scapegoat. Is more of
Sure.
it. It hurts our reputation for like what reason we don't know. That's what we're trying to find out.
because
The bill's not going to
because of
hurt
the fact-
us.
In my mind, it's because of the fact that, you know, the museum was called the museum of, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and there's a newspaper article talking about a $3 million museum, as opposed to a conference center or whatnot. I think it was the turn of phrase that was used as a museum, and at the time, and there still is, there is a big push in Tallahassee to corral, districts and universities, everybody that has seemed to be wasting money on one project or another. Notwithstanding the government wastes money all the time, right? But it was an easy thing to pick up. It was an easy phrase to say, "Oh, a museum, $3 million. What are people doing? We have to."
Well, so as our lobbyist for $100,000, are you able to help fix our reputation up in Tallahassee?
Well, sure, that's what we do, right? And what I'll say to that is, I was hired to do a specific thing for this session. All of our clients are long-term clients. When we do have short-term situations with people that we've never represented, and this was the Speaker of the House priority. I mean, I met with him on Sunday. Actually, I was hired over the phone, but not, the contract wasn't even signed on a Friday. Signed the contract on Monday, but on that Sunday, I met with the speaker, and talked to him about this right before the bill came out. So that's what you got. You got that, that's what you were paying for, that immediacy and that access on that. If we would have been a long-term client, we do have clients that pay 100 and over per year, but for you, for a district like yours, if you want to be paying me $100 or $100,000 a year, you would be paying me around half of that for a year-to-year basis. And what that does is that drives people like Senator Hudson to your facility way before this were to happen. It drives the next state senator from there. It helps with, and I've heard this, it's a PR contract, we're lobbyists, right? So, but at the same time, lobbyists do, by virtue of what we do, I mean, there's PR involved. Because we are trying to help your reputation and build up your reputation, like we do with all our clients. So when we're off on a junket somewhere, you name it, throughout the country in the summer with these individual legislators, and we're sitting around a campfire on a book 15 or wherever we are in New York or whatever we're doing, we're talking about our client base and our clients. And we find the ones, for instance, for you, we will be with the leadership, and then we'll be with members from your area, and we'll talk about what you guys do and say, hey, we need to get you out there. And so to that end, we are, a PR arm of what you're going to do, and to help your reputation on that. The other way would be that if this were to ever happen again or get close to it, hopefully we would be involved enough so we would say, well, no, wait a minute, you need to really think about, A, about the museum, B, is it really a museum, or is it a conference center that has a museum aspect to it? How do you brand it? And how, not that we're branding specialists, we can help you think through these issues before that one word of museum takes on a life of its own that is talked about literally all throughout this Capitol up here, like I haven't seen in a while. The one word, it's the museum bill, and that's what happened. And again, that speaks to how little things happen up here, because there's no secrets in Tallahassee through the thing. And one person says it, and then next thing you know, you have a Democrat backbencher from Tampa, who's a talking about, oh yeah, that's the museum bill, that's the speaker's priority, just because they hear it. Because all everybody wants to do up here is tell you what they know and talk what they know, whether they know if it's true or not. And that's what you get when you get us, is someone that can cut through the muck and cut through all the talk to find out what's real, what's not real, and then how to get done what you need to have done.
So moving forward in the next 5 months that we have you for, you're gonna continue to do those things and uplift our organization and help ensure language in the bills have a positive lean for us.
Yeah, so, and I've spoken to Amy about this and others, and I haven't had the opportunity to talk tonight too. I mean, what I would suggest is, you're paying me what you're paying me, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be happy to do it through the end of your fiscal year, right? Through the end of September, and to help lay that groundwork. So, not that we're going to get Senator Hudson out. I can't promise that, because he's going to be done, and besides he's going to be done, do you really need him out there anymore? But the next state senator that's going to be there, the one that's running, and Senator Tom or Representative Tom Lee, who's going to run for that Senate seat, work on him and find out who's going to the odds-on favorite for Cindy Stevenson's seat, and get them out there and work throughout that as a way. I know that originally the contract went to July 1st, and that originally was to get through the legislative session and get through the veto period, and because it was brought on as these people, you needed help for this one time and one time only. But I think what you're realizing, and what a lot of people realize is, this may not go away. The legislature and the Republicans that run it are always on the lookout for how to control waste. And the value added, whether that is next year or 2 years or 3 years from now, the value added to keep us on at a different rate, starting next fiscal year, to move forward to do all these things that we're talking about. But you know, you're right. At this point, I have a contract that goes till I think July 1st, and so I'll continue to help you with that. But what I'm saying is, I'm willing to extend the current contract we're on at that rate through the end of September.
Right. Commissioner Gleason?
Mr. Hawkins, I have a question. So when you said legislative session veto period, legislative session ends March 9th. So between March
That's right.
between March 9th and July 1st, what are you contemplating the scope of work will be?
Well, the scope of work, was done pretty much on the main scope of work that I was hired on was done the minute I talked to the speaker, and hopefully, you know, was instrumental, not hopefully, but instrumental in getting him to get rid of the 10-year reauthorization. And that was the main problem. You know, the scope of work throughout after session, you know, I doubt that the governor's going to veto this bill. But that whole scope of work will be to continue to work with staff. And when I'm out and about, you know, throughout, you know, my first trip is in early April. I'm going to be with all the Senate leadership, and we'll be rehashing what happened during the session and talking about different plans. I'm going to be in Key West with them for 4 days, an annual event, and I'll be talking about Anastasia Mosquito Control District, as well as other clients. Those are the things we do. Those are the things that we do all throughout the interim period that, you know, you don't necessarily see, but we build goodwill with the legislative body so we can, as you saw what we did when we were walking around during the time that you were here, you know, we can call Cindy Stevenson and we can get right into her office, and we can continue to maneuver through the hall.
I have one follow-up question, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because now I've heard about it like 5 times. It has leaked out. Actually, it shouldn't have leaked out because it's public record, but some people have found out that we hired a lobby, can you hear me?
Sorry, can you repeat that? You were breaking.
So, it has leaked out that, and it shouldn't be a leak because it's public record, but that Anastasia Mosquito Control took taxpayer dollars to hire $100,000 lobbyist in Tallahassee. And I personally got confronted. I'm like, 1, why? 2, what are you going to get for $100,000? And I started to do my research. And Amy, I think I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit on this one. You negotiated a similar contract for South Walton Beach, and it was $40,000. So we gave authority to this board to up to $100,000, and it came back and I pulled the minutes, the actual video from that meeting, where staff said we had $15,000 in the budget and that $100,000 was worst case scenario. So if worst case scenario actually became a reality,
Well, it was 125 and he lowered it.
well, you knew that. I didn't even know that as I'm driving up to Tallahassee. I didn't even have a copy of the contract. So it sounds like some people are getting information, others aren't. And and by the way, I've had long conversations with Amy on the phone because I don't like to get blindsided. And I think as a rule, we gave that authority to staff in good conscience. And that if the contract, and Robert, this is nothing personal, came back at $100,000, I should have not been surprised on my way to Tallahassee in the car that we had signed the contract for $100,000.
But we approved 100.
No, we said up to 100. You don't start negotiations at 100. I'm sorry, I don't know who negotiates like that, but
Well,
I
think
know that,
Robert will probably say that this was a emergency situation and he had to work off time. I won't
well,
speak for him.
can we not speak for, I'm asking the question. And the comment is, Amy, it was January 16th, you negotiated a similar contract with $40,000. So this stuff goes out in the press. This stuff gets out, and then we as commissioners are here to defend it. And Robert, I'm not saying your fees are unreasonable or not. I just need to be able to, with a straight face, be able to tell, one, we need a lobbyist. First of all, because I thought the whole time FMCA was supposed to be lobbying for us. And then I found out that they were going to throw us under the bus. And those were the exact words. So now I'm wondering, why are we paying for a membership to FMCA? So now we've paid this money to FMCA, now we're paying $100,000 to another lobbyist. And all that is being done on taxpayers' expense.
I have another question.
Can I finish have him
go ahead.
respond, please? So Robert, the question to you, it was a long and lengthy one, is, you don't have to, if you don't want to disclose fee schedules, but I really need some substantial information, because going on a fishing trip with senators and actually sits really bad in my stomach. You know, it's like, this is how government works.
That's how lobbying is, though.
Yeah, but we don't have to pay for it. I mean,
So,
Look, you don't pay for it anyway. So I think I have the gist of your question down. So number one, I didn't start at 100. I started higher. Okay, this was because you were the target. You were, Anastasia was the bullseye. And so whoever was, whether it was me or any of the other firms that got on board with the mosquito control district, that have the access, and not all those firms actually have the same access, I don't think, to the speaker. But, would have charged in that same range. For instance, and my fees are all public, and we have people that pay us double of the 100, and on a yearly basis.
right.
We picked up, a client on January 3rd that is in, frankly, worse trouble than Anastasia, and they're paying significantly more than 100. Those are the fees that, when you are in the position that you were, you were different than South Walton. South Walton was along for the ride, right? Manatee was along for the ride. Frankly, by the time that those firms got hired, I already talked to the speaker. You were very close to being. I mean, you're already headed to the chopping block, but I think it's safe to say you were very close to being on your head laid on the chopping block.
So would you say that they would have changed that provision to exclude not to target all special districts, but then to just target Anastasia as mosquito control?
I think that they could have. I think they could have just changed it for all districts except for mosquito control districts. But because of Anastasia, or they could have somehow, found out when, what year yours was developed and said, what year you came in and went 3 years up and said, okay, everyone from 1960 and before, are this. I mean, there was a half a dozen ways that they could have done.
Okay.
Had they so chosen. And that's what you get. And I'm certainly not going to apologize for my fee. I think you got a good deal, and that the other stuff sounds to me like it's internal. And at the same time, that a lot of this can be avoided the next time. As I'm saying this, if you have somebody here, and as far as the thing, going on fishing trips and turning their job, look, you're right. I mean, it doesn't look good to some people. But that's the way things up, that we do business here. Believe me, it's a lot cleaner than it was in the 90s when I was here, and other times in the early 2000s. But that's the way we develop relationships at the highest level. And this whole system, as we all know, revolves around a lot of different things, and one of them is campaign finance. And so the idea that, we have clients that spend millions of dollars per year on campaigns in the state. And we're the ones that are out and about deploying this money, and that gives us the time to spend with these legislators in the summer months and in the fall and whenever else. And that gives us that access. And then what that also then allows is to develop a relationship. So last night I can have dinner one-on-one with the Senate Appropriations Chairman, right? And, just because I've developed a relationship with them throughout the years. And the person, and good, bad, or indifferent, but the person that represents the American Heart Association doesn't have the opportunity to develop that same relationship. And that's what you get.
Thank you, Mr. Harkin. Commissioner Brandhurst, do you have a comment?
Yes, Mr. Hawkins, did I understand you to say your work is essentially done?
Well, it's not done because we don't know. No, it's
No,
not
you
done.
said it was
We're-
essentially
we're-
done.
We're,
That's what you said.
Well,
Quote
well,
you said my work is essentially done.
after I talked to the speaker and the main part of the bill that was most offensive to the district was stripped out of the bill. That was, that was the main thing to do, right? To get that out of the bill.
And we paid $100,000 for that? For you for the last 30 days? Was that, you said this, I don't understand. I don't understand what we're paying you for if your work is essentially done.
If I could chime in, so a lobbyist, their whole
What are you continuing
thing
to do?
is just,
I
it's
understand
about
what a
getting-
lobbyist does.
I
want to know what he's continuing to do.
Well,
he told us for 10
No,
minutes.
he said
what
his
he's
work
doing.
is essentially
Yeah,
done.
but basically what
Of
happened.
getting our heads off the chopping block. But now we
Basically-
have to continue it.
Basically thank our friends, and I'm sorry, because we have the president of the association here.
Yeah.
We need to thank FMCA for this,
Right.
because
I know.
FMCA basically
I'm just not
said,
real happy.
FMCA
I want it
said,
to be known.
we're gonna throw you under the bus if it becomes you or even though we're paying our fees.
It's Lisa. I
If-
made my point.
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
but I'm just letting you know, we're in this
I
situation.
know.
Thank you. All right. I think it's time to move on.
Robert, thanks.
So before we move on, I'd like to make a motion to accept his offering to continue working for us until the end of our fiscal year of September, is it 31st?
Amendment.
Amendment.
Yeah, he has.
I want to make the change, though, because it says, is that,
If you'll
One
permit me
moment.
to
One
explain
yeah,
moment.
yeah, yeah.
some of
Okay.
the legislation,
Yeah,
because you have a
let's-
couple of options
Yeah.
before you.
Okay.
What I would like to recommend that you absolutely do is ratify the contract that has already been signed.
Yes.
That completes the direction you gave at your last meeting to direct staff to negotiate and execute a contract. Bringing it back to you for ratification confirms the contract that was actually signed. That's one action that I recommend you take. The second piece is completely optional and up to you. Because after this contract was signed, there was a renegotiation of the terms of payment, how it would be paid monthly rather than upfront. In my mind, that warranted a memorialization, an addendum. And I took the opportunity to add to that addendum some other provisions I thought would be helpful for the district. I spoke with Robert about,
Is this one the new,
the addendum is that supplement, yes.
Yes.
Where is the supplement?
oh. Okay. That was what we got today.
That is what you got today. So that addendum extends the term of the original agreement from July 1st to September 30th for no additional compensation. It makes that $100,000 go a little bit longer, a little bit further, should you choose to accept it.
Right.
It memorializes the monthly billing and payment rather than one payment all up front. It clarifies there will be no reimbursable expenses. He gets paid when he gets paid. That's it. It gives you the option to renew this agreement should you choose to have him continue to tell your story and build those relationships for up to 2 one-year terms that you decide, and sets that monthly retainer at $4,000 per month,
Okay.
not the hair on fire rate. It gives you the opportunity to terminate for convenience. It sets out some rules if there's a conflict of interest, and it contains the statutory requirement for public records language when someone is working on your behalf.
Okay, so then I have a question.
Sure.
Other than extending the term to September 1st, and Robert, Amy, or you either, so are we just playing with numbers and making the monthly payment look a lot smaller because we extended it to 9 months as opposed to July 1st, and there's really no work going on beyond the veto period?
If he continues to tell your story in Tallahassee,
It doesn't say that.
relationships, and keep his ears to the
It
ground.
says upon the direction of the director, and I'm honestly, the director between now and September 1st has a lot on his plate. He's not in tune with what's happening in Tallahassee, so I don't know what kind of direction the director is going to be giving.
He's doing Robert would continue to do his lobbying services on behalf of the district, and specific lobbying assignments from the director. There may not be any specific lobbying assignments from the director, particularly if
Are
you
you
don't
talking
hear
about
here,
the statement
because
of
you've
work?
got a
I
new
just
target
wanna
on your
know.
back.
First, we're extending 100,000 to September now, right? As opposed to July 1st.
Well, the only thing about the director, it says that
He
the
will-
director can ask for details. It doesn't mean he reports to the director. He still reports to us,
There was
but the
some-
director could request details like the hours and whatever.
No, there was something in here where the director would give assignments as,
So, yeah, the very second paragraph, lobbyist shall perform all services. Lobbyist acknowledges and agrees it will receive specific lobbying assignments for the director, which assignments may be expanded, modified, or removed as necessary.
and I'm saying.
I think that creates a point of contact more than anything.
Well, $100,000, I think we've heard right now, covers us through the legislative session and the veto period. 100 grand, that's it. If the director were to assign other lobbying direction.
Then we would
are
hire
are
him
we-
for $48,000 for a year. That's what
so
he
are we-
has in this.
Are we charging more?
No.
No, we would
You have
pay
the option to renew
$48,000
for
for the whole
$4,000 a
year.
year after September.
After September 1st, but
Yeah.
between July 1st and September 1st.
You're not paying any extra to have him continue.
We already owe
Yeah,
that money.
he said he
We already
shouldn't
owe
do
that
that.
money, so we have to pay it. This is just outlining how we pay it.
No, it's just, you're just paying it over 9 months
Right,
versus 6
right.
months.
Or upfront all.
But the scope of work, it's already what Commissioner Branher said is essentially done.
I would like for him to submit a plan in writing what he intends to do.
I think he already.
His scope of work
He
was
did.
related to the
Lobbying
fiscal
is a
bill,
very
and any other
specific
lobbying
Any
job.
consultant
That's
that we
why they
hire
make
should
money.
submit a plan in writing as to what they intend to do, and I want to see what he intends to do, and I want to see it in writing.
The scope is already in the
I
contract.
think he's already done it, though.
It's, if
I
you look
wanna
at
see
it,
it. I wanna see it.
it's, yeah, it's in your, it's
I
in
know
the
that.
contract that we're ratifying.
Yeah, I know that, but he's basically saying he's finished.
No, he's saying he got our head off the chopping block.
Right.
That
I know
doesn't mean
that. I
we're
know
done
that's what he
yet. They
said.
could
I
still
know
put
that's what he
another
said.
bill.
Secondly, but the words out of his mouth were, "I am essentially done."
Yes, with getting our just focus on
Okay,
us. That's
I'm
what he
gonna
was
keep
talking
repeating
about.
it.
Well, you can repeat it all you want, but, I mean, the chair could
Okay.
use
Mr.
Robert's
Hawkins?
rules any minute.
Mr. Hawkins, I would like to see a revised plan.
I,
Okay, so do you have a motion?
If you're not done, tell me what you intend to do over the next 6 months.
He did.
honey, he's done it.
I kind of said that already, but here's where we are, I think. So, we have the original contract, it's supposed to be, I think the original one was gonna be 2 payments. I was contacted by the district, and in good faith, I said, no, we can spread those over, 5 months.
Right, I
And
understand that.
subsequently, talking about, with others and with Amy, and with the idea that, so you don't have to go through this again, if you had somebody full-time, that we would extend the contract that we're under right now through September, and then if you wish, you could rehire us again at the monthly rate of one of our long-term clients would be under, similar to some of them.
What are your plans for next month?
Well, my plan for next month is to make sure, that the bill that's passed out of the House stays the exact way it is, that
Which is important.
the Senate bill conforms with that bill, It's passed as is, sent to the governor, and the governor signs it. Okay? After that, my plan will be to continue to crisscross the state, meeting with legislators, and as I do, talk about Anastasia Mosquito Control District, amongst other things. Okay? And at the same time, try to drive legislators out to the facility, come down to the facility myself, so when I talk to people, I can say, yeah, we have this, we have that, we have helicopters, we have, and
Yeah, we definitely need that.
Rob,
yeah,
Rob,
and to continue to tell your story the way it's never been told before.
Robert, would it help you to come down to the district and look at all the facilities?
No, that's what you
There's no
just
doubt,
said.
it's already on my plan.
Yeah, he
Oh,
said
okay,
that.
okay. You said
All right.
crisscross
When
the
is it
state.
on your plan?
What?
What day is it on your
Excuse me?
plan?
Excuse me?
What day is it on your plan?
Uh,
You plan to come down to the district when?
At this point, I'm just trying to get through this session and make sure that you're unscathed.
Is it on your
Okay?
calendar?
Once we get through that, and as I look at my calendar, within the first 6 weeks after session, I will make sure that I will be there. That was in my head and my plan.
Okay,
what
at our
day-
next meeting, I'd like a date.
I'd like to call a point of order.
Yeah. We're out of order.
All right. Let's everybody
Take a
get
breather.
back again.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes?
I'd like
Yes.
to make a motion to approve the updated contract with Mrs. Meyer's version, stating that and allowing it to go to the end of September, which we can bring this back at the September meeting to see if we want to renew his contract.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Before you,
Okay,
before you
one-
take the vote, I do want to point out one difference.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay, no, it's
The-
fine.
The version that is attached to what I believe it was on the table
Uh-huh.
does contain a provision regarding statement of work that Robert and I discussed, and he requested be removed on the premise that he would be giving regular updates to the director and to the staff.
Okay.
Which page are you on?
I'm not sure what page you're on.
Okay.
On this new one we're looking
On
at?
the addendum, there's a provision that's entitled statement of work.
Yes.
Robert requested that that be removed on the premise that he would be giving regular updates and it was unnecessary. So the version he signed, and he has actually signed this addendum, it's exactly the same, it just doesn't include that one provision regarding.
Okay.
statement of
Yeah,
work. And I just
but
wanted
he's
to-
still going to provide us with updates.
It's this one.
And I'll be happy to do an update, the regular board meeting, whenever I'm called. That's not a problem. In fact, I look forward to being the president at a future board meeting.
I think through if the legislative session ends on, when is our next board meeting?
March 8th.
And the session is
sorry.
done on March,
March 14th.
Yeah.
session ends March 9th.
Well, there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, there is a motion on the floor.
uh,
Would you repeat the motion, please? Because I have lost track.
Okay, I have a motion to accept this new addendum on the contract that our attorney has prepared, and it's the same contract that Mr. Robert has, minus the statement of work, with
Right.
his verbal guarantee that he will give us regular updates.
Do we have a second?
I seconded it.
You're going to second it?
No, I did before.
Okay.
Before we had the-
And all in favor? All right. Anyone opposed? All right.
You can't
Commissioner-
abstain.
Do you have a conflict of interest?
Yeah, you can't withstain your vote.
You can't abstain, either as a yes or
Okay,
no.
you have to go yes or no. You can't abstain.
Then I'll vote for it with everybody else.
Thank you very much.
I'm just not.
All right.
happy.
I would just like to make one comment.
Yes, Commissioner LeBlanc.
Robert? Robert, I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us and explain things. I know tensions can get a little high. There was no malintent. So please accept, our apologies. We're just trying to understand some things. So I just want to offer that and say thank you for explaining some things. And
Well, you're, and there's no apologies necessary. This is all business. But I understand that, Tallahassee it's foreign to a lot of people, and you know, with my hope to make it less foreign to all of you. And I look forward to getting down there, and I look forward to having all of you come up next session for the Mosquito Day, and if not before, we can walk the halls together, starting after the elections in November, and meet the new legislators, and really try to build a brand for education.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Wonderful.
Can I
Thank
ask a
you.
point of question?
Sure, Commissioner Gleason?
I had sent, and we already voted, so it's more clarification for me. Because we are in this situation because of FMCA, and my only concern is that the way that the original contract or the resolution reads does not indicate that AMCD was forced into this situation, because FMCA told us that we needed our own lobbyist. And I'm sorry, I am not taking bullets for FMCA. I will be more than happy to take bullets for my decisions, but FMCA, and staff is here to tell me, when I got my call, I don't know what call you all got, but my call said, FMCA said they would throw us under the bus if it meant saving the other districts, and that they highly recommended we get our own lobbyist. That needs to be memorialized somewhere, because that is the only reason we are where we are today.
Mr. Weaver, would you like to comment on that? Because I think
Yeah,
you
we've
should-
got
I think you
about
should
4
defend
years to
yourself.
unpack in that
Yeah.
statement.
Yeah.
Okay, again, I'm speaking as president of the FMCA, and I was in all the legislative meetings. I've also been in the Hawk meetings from the very beginning. I'm very familiar with everything that was said. A lot of things were said, a lot of hearsay. It's still happening. The FMCA yesterday got news, that did not make the members happy, and it had to do with Anastasia again. It's very embarrassing as president to go through this and try to apologize for actions that I have no control over. But I must say that there was things said in Tallahassee that singled out Anastasia. The FMCA has many members. It's not just the special districts. It's not just Anastasia. And they had to say that if it came to sacrificing one district, whether it was Pasco, Anastasia, or any other district, they would have to go with the majority. We weren't thrown under the bus per se. We were just hanging out there, and if it had been Pasco, it would have been them. They couldn't just come and defend us. So they told us, and they told every special district, go out, hire a lobbyist, cover your butt, because this is bad. And at the very beginning, especially with the 10-year reauthorization, it was really bad. And I will tell you, yesterday, the news that one of our members went and tried to lobby to get the 10 years put back in the Senate bill really set off the director, the lobbyist, and rippled throughout FMCA.
An FMCA member did that?
No,
Or a commissioner?
an
you're saying?
Anastasia
Because they're
board member.
commissioner.
But none of us are allowed to talk to people up there.
Someone
You're not-
talked to Senator Hudson
You're not allowed to talk
and
to
told them
anybody
to put
unless.
that back in the bill.
What,
At least according to a person that was in the office with Senator Hudson.
Okay.
And that person is partners with the FMCA lobbyist. So, anyway, I just wanted to defend
So
the
to
FMCA
clarify
because
that comment that you just made, if you look at the policy, you cannot represent yourself as the district, speaking for the district. So I just want to make sure, because I was asked to speak on the call that you, Whitney, and Dr. Shu to call Senator Hudson and Speaker Renner. Couldn't get a hold of Speaker Renner. Talked to Senator Hudson, that's when he told me about the bill. He didn't have a bill yet. He was waiting for the Speaker to send him a bill. At that time, by the time that bill made it to Senator Hudson's, that 10-year thing had been removed. It was still in the Senate bill, but he said that he was going to copy whatever the House passed, which ended up being exactly that.
This conversation happened this week, though.
Okay, so
I can just tell you what I was told.
I didn't talk to
I
them.
wasn't in the room, but I was in the meetings from the aftermath.
So I just want to go back to my original point. Yes or no, did you guys not call, I can only speak for myself, for me to support getting a lobbyist because FMCA had said we needed to get a lobbyist because the target was on our back? Yes or no?
That is
So
correct.
when constituents ask why we got a lobbyist, because I've always thought that FMCA, one of the services that they gave us was lobbying for the districts
And they did.
right?
Districts as a whole.
as a whole.
Yeah.
So
And they
this
continue
started
to
with,
do
the
that.
only reason we ended up having to hire one was on the recommendation of FMCA because we were the target. We didn't just come up with this one night and said, oh, we need a lobbyist.
They absolutely made that recommendation, and they made it to every other special
And I
district.
just want to make sure that's codified
And
because.
most of the special districts have hired lobbyists within the last month
Yes, exactly.
to lobby for that.
And I'm telling you, people out there, at least, I have at least 3 or 4 people, somehow they have found out that we have a lobbyist for $100,000.
Well, the blame goes back to Tallahassee, in my opinion, for them bringing the bill to begin with. But that's
And
nothing
all I
that
can tell
any
you
of us
is
can control,
taxpayers.
so.
I just
you
want
know,
to make sure people
that's-
understand, I am not, I'm,
Well, what they really need to understand is that for the last 3 years, I've continued to try to get us better in the public eye, and the board has shut down every single
We need a
attempt I've made
communications
to that.
person.
So I tried to hire a communications person, that was shut down. I tried to hire a PR person. I tried to do many different things, and the board shut it down because they didn't want attention. Now that attention has overwhelmed where we've gotten so much negative attention because we were made to be silent after a beautiful 2-page Sunday front page article, because people on Facebook had to pay to see that article. You know, if you weren't subscribed to the newspaper, all you saw was Anastasia, $4 million Anastasia Mosquito Museum. And if you wanted to read the article, you had to be a paid subscriber. So no one read it unless they bought the newspaper. And that has snowballed, and that's what I've been saying all these past few years, is that's the, so now we have to play the defensive instead of offensive. So maybe we could think about that in the future and try to do something.
So
All right,
I have a point of clarification.
all right, please,
Um,
Ms. Myers.
Ms. Becker, your motion was to approve the addendum.
yeah.
And I think I heard you say Amy Meyer's version.
Yes.
That was a resolution that was in 2 parts. It included the ratification and also approval of the.
So do we need to make a new motion?
Well, I just wanted.
I think we do need to do the resolution as well, because I think we approved the addendum, but we also need to approve the resolution.
All right, I'll read it by title, so we're all on the same page as to
Okay.
what.
The version that we're going
What
to.
are we?
Yes.
And then I'll read it by title. If you want to approve it, you can make a motion to approve it at that time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that fair?
Sorry.
Yes, she's going to read the resolution.
That's the.
Yeah, I thought it was like
Well, I think,
the addendum 1 was
I think she meant
connected
we need
to
to
your
ratify-
I
resolution.
think we need to ratify
By
the
the
resolution.
contract and then.
Is that not true?
Yes, I really would like you to make a motion to ratify it. We can do
Yes.
both with one resolution. And I wasn't clear what your motion was before. It just said Amy Meyer's version, but it only spoke to the addendum.
Right.
So
Yes.
I want to get I want to
Well,
make sure
the
you all get the ratification.
Amy Meyer's version is the resolution.
Okay,
So I was including both things. Was
Okay.
I supposed to do it separately?
you did
Or
not,
should I clarify it more?
you did not have to do it separately. I prepared the resolution so you could do both actions with one resolution. The motion I heard you made only spoke to the addendum itself, and that's why I wanted to
Okay,
clarify.
so I'll make a motion to accept the resolution
That both ratifies and approves the
that
addendum.
both ratifies and approves the addendum,
All
which
right.
is Amy Meyer's version,
Perfect.
which is the same contract that Mr. Robert has and that we agreed on previously and updated as such.
All right.
Thank you.
And do we have a second?
Lost track, so somebody-
I'll second it, yeah.
You're going to second? Commissioner LeBlanc? And all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? We're confused?
I apologize for making this
I'm
difficult.
fine.
I'm new to
And
y'all
I just want it
too.
noted on the minutes, but I actually said verbatim,
And yours,
because it's not in this resolution. And I want to make sure that it's memorialized that this board took this action because of the recommendation. Yep.
And Robert, we look forward to you coming to the district. We are absolutely amazing, so we look forward to welcoming you.
I
Mr.
do as
Holly?
well, and I'll.
If you do at this point, you're a brave man. All right, thank you so much.
Where are we?
Thank you very much, and if there's no other questions, I'm gonna hop off.
Yes, you may.
thank you, Robert.
Where
Thank
are we
you.
now?
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Mr. Hannah.
No handouts. Fine, no.
Good evening, Scott Hanna, Anastasia Mosquito Control District, CFO. Going over the treasurer's report. The reason you got it on the table was when the board books went out, the financial statements, especially the SBA, wasn't even going to be ready till the end of the business day and the next, or even the second day.
We were going to change SBA to prime, right?
Yes, I'm
That's
sorry,
what
I
we
should start
said.
calling it, yeah, I'm so used to calling it the SBA, Florida Prime. So looking at the treasurer's report going top to bottom, Wells Fargo, the operating account stays at 1.5 million. And that basically, anything over that sweeps up into the Wells Fargo investment sweep account. So now you're starting to see larger amount. We have 5.2 in there currently at the close of business on the 31st of January. Probably about the midpoint, it was about the 4 million mark. So the actual interest that actually earned for the year, on a yearly basis and annualized for that 1 month was 5.21, where the SBA is actually doing 5.57. So it is a little bit less. Even though you do see 5.2 million in there, that amount wasn't in there for the whole month. If you do look at the sweep statement that I enclosed, I'm sorry that the print's so small, I try to enlarge it. You'll see how the funds kind of fluctuate, what they keep putting in, what goes in, what goes out for the month. And then the ending fund balance was 5.2. So we actually did earn 20,258, but that doesn't dip in there till the next day, which is February 1st. It'd be
Can you
nicer
tell
and
us
neater.
what page we are on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm jumping around a little bit. I'm going off the summary, which is that first page, says Treasury Report.
Yeah, I guess I'm not seeing that 20,000, so.
Okay, so actually, yeah, in fact, where that will be is when you look at the,
I got it, Scott. It's the highlighted one.
the actual sweep statement. Where it gets slightly messy is if you look at the sources of income, and you go down that next batch where it says source of income, I'm still on the cover sheet. You're showing the actual cash flow of $8,086.66. That was actually earned the month before, and it actually came into the account January 1st. The 20,000, where that comes into play, is if you go to this page, and I really wish they would make this a nicer statement, but I put the 20,258.06, that's actually what was really earned for the month in January. Then the next day, I went to Wells Fargo and I pulled a interim statement. You'll see February 1st is where it actually dips in. I wish they would just close on the 31st and then everything would be, so it was actually earned on that higher amount was the 20,258. The $8,086 was what was earned in December, but got funded on January 1st. So it just gets a little bit messy the way they do it. And then tax levy is received. we're back on the first page, it's 2.8 million. Oh, go ahead.
Excuse us a minute, Scott, she has a question.
Do
Sure.
you think that, that 20,000, that was basically what we
That's-
gained in January?
Yes,
right?
ma'am, yep.
So how, I know since we're very new to this, so how would, use your best estimate, do you think that this is something that we could say will be around that number every month? Or,
Interest rates don't
It's
change.
always going to follow the Fed funds
Yeah.
rate, just like the prime does too.
yeah,
Um,
and those change by the day
Yep,
and whatever, but
And those
do you
numbers,
think that's close? Or at least 50% of that, or?
that all depends on what the market's going to do with the Fed funds. There's a lot of factors involved in that, so the federal government, the Federal Reserve controls that, so that number is going to fluctuate with it. But you can see how the two are kind of closely related. The Wells Fargo is at 5.21, and then the SBA is 5.57. SBA is probably doing a little bit higher because those are private sector bonds for short term. When you look at the Wells Fargo sweep account, that's T-bills, treasuries, which are following that number pretty close. But I think you've got a little more aggressiveness when you're talking private sector, AAA, S&P bonds.
Well, what I'm saying is, I think that's great, and by us moving into this account, if we could average around 20,000 a month, that pays for our lobbyists, so that makes that
It's-
free,
yeah.
right?
By the way, just kudos, we were at the dock for Sachi, you did exactly what they recommended you do.
Yes.
Did it? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
so-
It was, it was
And the
gratifying.
investment policy was a good thing too, Scott.
Okay, yeah. And then it's diversification, which
Yeah.
is what you wanted.
Yeah.
And the only other option would have been CDs, which are a bad fit for us, and you have to tie it up for more than a year to even make any money, so.
I saved the picture, but they told us it was about 9 or 10, I'll have to look at the picture, but about 9 or 10 different prime-style bonds markets that we could buy into in the state of Florida. So it's not just prime, like we could
Yeah.
also, if we wanted to
Understand.
verify it more,
Yeah,
there's
okay.
even more of those,
Okay.
which I thought that was pretty interesting.
If you want
I
to
could-
diversify it more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to find that and send that to you, just, you could look it over and then
Okay,
maybe bring
sure.
it to us to look at if we think we need it or something, but
Yeah, I think it's still gonna fluctuate around that 5 point, but, I mean, Commissioner Gleason was correct, it's good to diversify.
Yes.
And then the fact that we've got it going into a sweep account, if you close a business, if that 1.5 ever dips down even a penny, it sweeps right back in at the close of business. And it's Wells Fargo, so,
yeah,
Good.
wonderful.
so I
Thank
think
you.
that's about it, except for the other sources of revenue. We just had a little bit of surplus, $94.08. That was some metal, scrap metal. And then we did still get a little bit more FEMA Hurricane Nicole money trickle in. I think this is the final of it, $13,481.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, they've been paying, those have been coming through a lot quicker than they used to. Then
Well,
I
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended budget for the state.
Can I make a comment first? And actually, can I?
Yes, go ahead.
And I think to support some of the stuff you said before. I'm looking at the communication line, and I'm looking at, so communication services, I guess that's telephone, but it's the PR, what's the PR?
54.
Is it 54 or 48?
Oh, no, sorry.
Is it 48, promotional activities?
Yeah.
Is that where it would be? I'm
Yes.
really concerned that we're about to open up the education center, the SIT building, and there is no real strong communication strategy or communication person. We have an education, I've talked to Dr. Shu about this, but being a communication person, as we found out last week, is very different than an education person bringing people to the center. We need somebody that's actively talking to media, putting us in our best light in the market, out there.
Well, I brought that
So
up
there,
last year.
yeah, and
board voted it
I'm
down.
trying to say, I think with all the stuff that's going on right now, it's even more important.
You mean education center, right? I think you said
Both.
SIT.
SIT building-
Okay.
Look, I can tell you this, okay? I've done my, research in healthcare. That building's gonna open up. People are gonna confuse SIT with GMO.
Oh, sure.
Things are gonna go blah, and then we're gonna be caught in the same boat trying to harness in misinformation. So I, I forget that gentleman, was it from Monroe County, the one that spoke last?
The keys.
The Keys. We need somebody that's savvy enough, that has been in, that knows media, that knows the legislature, that is able to put a communication plan together and execute that plan so that we are not caught cold-footed
Sure.
again and have to defend against, misinformation or people freaking out, what the heck is mosquito control doing over there? So I don't know, it may not be addressed in this budget. I think there's hardly any money in here for it.
Well, this is just our monthly. This is
Yeah, the
stuff
month.
that we have to, amend. If something came in higher or lower, and then we have to send it to the state
Yeah,
every
but we
month.
put the monies in operating expenses, should we, I don't know how you guys feel. I'm very concerned right now. We are very close to opening days for these facilities, and that it's months. We're still very quiet.
Well, that's because the board said no.
Chairperson, may I say something?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
please.
hearing you.
Dr. Shu?
I know.
Dr. Shu, yes.
Yeah, everything is on the plan with the open, that's the reason we have on the business number 4, education center open plan. So next, we had the entomologist replace Dr. Cole from a position in charge of education and research.
So could we move this
That'll be,
This-
when I,
topic to talk about it on that and finish our motion
Yeah,
for this?
yeah, let's do that.
it doesn't matter, this month, yeah. Even talking
I'm
there,
good.
it'll be, when I need money, I come to you, ask, I have that position, how much I need, I need you approve. Yeah. That'll be later, not right now. This only need approval this month.
Right.
budget amendment.
Let's do the budget amendment, then we'll
Yeah.
talk about it when we talk about
Okay.
the,
It's on
Into
the,
this
it's on the
area.
agenda
Okay.
for later on.
all right, did you make the motion?
Yes.
You did. I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor to approve the
Aye. You're off.
budget? All right, it's unanimous.
All right. And then I guess on to the budget amendment.
It's
Well,
done.
I'm trying to type.
Oh, okay, we're good.
Yeah,
All
it's
We
approved.
did, we did.
We got it.
Don't get us back
right,
there.
thanks.
Yes. All right. Mr. Weaver,
Me this time. All right, so I'm talking about an RFP that we put out. It was released on January 8th to develop site plans, 2 of them, building plan, permitting and construction of the AMCD equipment storage building, and northeast property drainage. As of early last week, we've received 15 requests for RFP documents. So we've had pretty good turnout. There was a mandatory pre-bid meeting last Tuesday. On that, we had about 9 contractors show up. So that was really good. That kind of closes the RFP to new people because you have to be at that meeting. But now they have a little while for me to take all their questions, and I boil them down and I answer them, and then I put it out as an addendum. I'm also working with the engineer Matthews Design, who does all the groundwork. They've done everything on this property since the beginning, and they're putting together a very minimum document to help the bidders give us good numbers. So the RFP actually closes on February 23rd. It's opened by staff on February 27th. And then we come to the regular board meeting, which I think is the 14th, because we're at the AMCA, the 8th, or the 7th. So this is actually for a 4,000 square foot building, 40 by 100, 14-foot eave, single-story, pre-engineered metal building that will house vehicles and equipment. It'll be behind Building 200, which is our current equipment storage building. It's going to be kind of, I guess you could compare it to a pole barn. It's just open, closed on the ends. There'll be some storerooms, a roof to get the stuff that's sitting outside out of the weather, because it just eats up all the stuff that our backhoe got eaten up because it was outside for the first 5 years we were here. We've been able to move it inside, but our tractor is out, it gets eaten up. All the trailers, there's tons of maintenance. So we're trying to get that stuff inside. And then also, we are repairing the drainage issues in the northeast quarter, which is this part of the property over here, all the way from the front fence, all the way down almost to the ditch. We have a lot of drainage issues there. We've had these issues really since the beginning of time. I remember when they put out Building 300 and they were trying to put the power lines in, they sank 2 or 3 of the FPL trucks there, and it took them a long time to get them out. That was a long time ago, but it's always been soggy over there because all the water up there across from the EOC and over here where the gun range is flows across our property, and we need to make sure that when it comes on the property here, it goes down into the drains and over to our retention. So we've had some leaks into the education building and more recently into the dormitory, and we're trying to release that, and we're trying to make just the property drier and better. So hopefully on the 14th, we'll bring some good numbers to the board that are acceptable to you guys, and it's a design build, so they will, submit site plans to us, and then they will submit building plans to us, and we'll approve those things as we go along and make sure that we build what we need.
I just have a
Commissioner,
short one.
Commissioner Becker, go ahead.
Just to be clear, the drainage issues have nothing to do with the education center over there that was there beforehand?
Well, no, they were exaggerated with the education center. The contractor that built the education center did not use the correct elevations. When all was said and done, things were not where they should have been. The underground piping that was put in during the site work, which was Harold Construction, was correct, but the grading on the finished product was not correct. There was no way to know that until the final survey that was submitted as built. I mean, I can't do grading. I can't look at something and tell that it's 2 inches lower or higher
Well,
than it
that's
should
not your
be.
job. That's what we
And
paid them.
even if I could, with that contractor, they pretty much refused to do anything. And there were complaints before they left about the drainage issues. They knew about them, and they would not do anything to help us with them.
So let me ask you something. Do we need to address the drainage problems before we build another building and change our footprint here?
Well, that's over on a completely different side, completely away from it.
Right.
But that will impact drainage slightly, but in a completely different way. Because when we built the retention pond over here and the one back by aviation, that was to allow certain amount of footprint or solid surface, whether it's a building or asphalt or any of those things.
Right.
Well, we're running out of reserves, so we're probably going to have to dig this retention pond out slightly to allow for the new amount of impermeable pavement,
Right.
which is the 4,000 square feet. We may only need to worry about, 1,000, 1,500, so it won't be a big change, but that kind of affects all of it because it all goes into that retention pond.
And when they come to us, then they'll give us more.
We'll know
Information
exactly
on
what
it.
we need to do during the design phase.
Okay.
Two
Commissioner
questions.
Gleason?
So do you have an estimate at this point for the building of that building over there? What you think it might be worth? Or having an idea?
I would not want to.
Yeah, probably current value around 800, 700 to 800 something, for $200 per square foot.
Okay.
I would hope
Currently.
so.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. And then my next question is the drainage issue. I know that we gave the county the right-of-way.
Yeah, but that
It
doesn't.
doesn't
Doesn't
impact,
affect-
no, I
That's-
just want to make sure, can I finish my
Yeah,
question?
yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't, it's not along where the county's going to be working?
No.
Okay,
No, that's the complete south end of the property,
Yeah,
all the
okay.
way by the back fence. and it has nothing to do, it'll actually go under that retention pond.
And you don't think that's going to create any drainage issues for us?
No,
Okay.
no, because it's all underground piping.
Okay,
They will leave the elevation as they found it.
okay. That was all.
Yeah, Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the corridor on our property behind the car garage. We have two sheds. Then behind beside the fish tank there, we have one shed for the hand box, some fog machine, everything. Some people come here visit, what's happening? That's when that's March, you have other building. So the also, we have, you see the lots of trailer vehicle still in outside. Here, after the rain, or the rot, we need to put some kind of like.
Protection.
Garage. Yeah, the kind of water that can go.
Right.
The campus look better, yeah.
Salt there doesn't
Yeah, salt
help
there.
anything.
Yeah, so included in this building, like I said, the two ends are closed in, so there will be 4 storerooms there that will take over the job of the 3 buildings that we have now. And we're actually going to repurpose one of the buildings and put it over the existing well.
When you
to
say
protect
building,
it
you're
from the
talking
weather.
about shed.
The
Yeah.
portable
The shed,
buildings.
okay,
Yeah.
just to make sure, so,
Portable.
Yeah, the little small
Yeah.
building. The sh-
yeah, those 10-foot ones.
Okay. Does anyone else have questions for Mr. Weaver?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Actually, this will be fast, because I'm going to actually table this discussion until I get the total cost of the museum. So I don't want to incur additional costs to the museum or the education center until I know where we are. Tricia said 4 million, I got 3.4 from somebody else, I think Dr. Schuster.
Correct, 3.6.
So you want
6 million.
to, you want to table it?
I want to table to
The
next
name
month.
change?
Until next month, because I don't even know how much this would cost.
Well, I do want to bring up a point with that, which is the board had several meetings about the word museum. And we agreed, 4 of us that are on here now were at that meeting and agreed to leave that. And that's why we took it off the main building and put it on the small. The word, let me see, I wrote it down. The word museum definition is a building, place, or institution devoted to the acquisition, conservation, study, exhibition, and educational interpretation of objects having scientific, historical, or artistic value.
Can I have a point of order? Because I said I was tabling it. I don't want to.
Well, I don't know if we can bring it back in, is what I'm saying. I don't know if this should have been on the agenda,
No,
because we already
we
voted.
are the target right now in Tallahassee because we have a museum. I asked Dr. Weaver, Mr. Weaver, our official name is not even museum. Our official name, as filed, is something education center, correct?
The name as it stands right now is Vector Disease Education Center.
Correct. That's the official name filed.
Well, that's what we've been calling it. That's the
Right.
name we put on the building.
And
But I don't
everything,
know
and that's, we heard from
where
a
we
lot
are
of us.
on museum.
And everything we heard in Tallahassee and Gailton, it was all about the museum. When we told people what it was, some of the ones that wanted to hear, they were like, oh, you're educating, you're providing a service to the community. Museums have a very negative connotation now these days, especially you just heard, he even said that they're looking at anybody that's wasting money. And I know the discussion you and I have had about if you don't have a museum, you're not going to get a grant. I did research that, and that is absolutely false.
Well, the
Education.
kinds of museum grants we can get is the collections, management, care, digitation of projects, object exhibitions.
Can I ask another question? I know the
Those are all
definition of
museum.
Can I ask a question to this board? If taking that word off takes the target off a back, would you vote to still keep museum on the?
But if museum brings us $20 million.
Richard, I really want to hear
Yeah.
from Richard because I want to know the big picture. So what would be
Well, my question to Miss Amy was, can we bring this up? If the board, if 4 of the sitting members already agreed on this, can we bring that back up? That's kind of where I was going,
A name
was I don't want to
change?
waste your guys' time talking about
A
this.
name change is not allowed to be brought back?
Well, if you've already acted on the motion and it's already been decided,
Okay.
they
Even though
they
it's
have
years-
implemented that direction.
even though
Now,
it's
I don't
years
know
ago?
how long ago in time that was,
was
or if
years
there's
ago.
been a
I
material
mean,
change
what do
in
you guys
circumstances.
think? It was 2
Well-
years ago?
I wasn't on the board, so I couldn't tell you.
I'd say we go ahead
I
and
don't
address
ever
this now
remember
because
saying I was okay with it being.
I actually said table it because I don't even know what the cost, and so we're still discussing it. So I think I have a point of order here.
If it's been tabled,
I tabled it, and
let's shut down
we're
the
still talking
discussion.
about
I'll
it.
look into what your former action was.
Yeah.
Well, I just
I'll
don't
get
want
with
us to
staff.
get in trouble if we already had this big discussion on
So
we
no
had a
board
huge thing
ever-
on the museum.
No
like, that
ever,
was-
no board ever, in your estimation, is able to ever bring back a decision that they made.
If
A
it's
reconsideration.
already been implemented, it's done. If it has not been implemented,
you
yes, sometimes
never-
you can
So
reconsider it,
you
yes.
never can reconsider. a
I'm not saying
decision.
never.
Okay.
I'm saying I need to, I need more
But she's
facts.
saying that we
All
can
right.
never bring it back if I table it.
So at this point, we're tabling
Yes.
the motion. Okay.
And I'll do more
And
research.
we're moving on. All right.
A different way.
Yeah, I don't even know, I don't even know.
I just,
how-
I don't
it
want
got
us to
put
get
on-
in trouble, that's
No,
why.
it got put on the thing. I didn't
I
even
know, it's,
Dr. Shu, would you talk to us
Oh,
about
thank you.
something else, anything else?
Okay. Yeah, that,
You know, folks, I really feel, I do have to take the time here. I am not trying to make trouble for this board. We discussed this ad nauseam, and honestly, I didn't put this on the agenda. So I said table it, and then we started talking about it. So you can go.
okay, thank
Dr.
you.
Shu, sorry.
Yeah, that's last year CDC called grant, 5-year grant for training and evaluation vector control tools prevention method against the vector-borne disease. Yeah, we applied cooperation with Lee County and South Carolina, Alabama, and Florida, 4 states. We applied. So that gave the CDC after review inform us, yes, we approve your application, but no money available. So your application lasted for 2 years. The interesting that the CDC total gave grant 5 organizations, 4 the university, different university. Only 1 operation going to New Ireland, mosquito and termite and vector rodent control division. So that the division director came in 2 weeks ago, and they knew our situation, so they wanted to invite us to be part of sub-regional, like Florida regional for training center. So they can sponsor, help us the workshop, currently the funding 5 scholarship to join our workshop, pay the registration fee, provide the hotel. Also, they're concerned about if we become their sub-regional training center, they can fund some people's salary, and we can discuss, we can maybe use the benefits match. So we discussion about a 5-year grant contract position. This position will be full-time worker for education center. So then, and doing something kind of job called Audent, Florida, state training program. So that's will be definitely need cooperation with FMCA and Department of Agriculture, Department of Health. So that's because of the deal with the agreement here. And she would like to know what's our decision. She will be here next Thursday, come again. She knew that I said I have to ask my board. And board approval, allow me discuss about this, that we can work out the MOU, so they can part of the work. We will be, if approved, we approve first, they approve us. Then we establish regional training center. That's we whole part of our plan. So we didn't get it from CDC, because they get it from CDC, now that we share the kind of work, training.
Commissioner Becker.
will this affect, if, Rutherford calls us tomorrow and goes, hey, because they've been working really hard to try to get us this money. So if they say, hey, we got you the money, will we still be able to get the money from the New Orleans as well as our own money?
Yes, it doesn't affect our
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the
authority.
the authority to allow Dr. Shu to even engage in talking about doing an MOU. And just to be
Perfect.
clear, this doesn't mean we're approving the MOU, it's we're approving Dr. Shu to speak with the New Orleans people about doing it and what it would look like, and then bring that back to the board.
Can I ask Amy a question first, though?
Sure, okay.
Given the stuff going on in Tallahassee right now, if we start going across state lines and talking to other states about becoming a Gulf, is that going to create any?
We can help.
I think it would, I
Okay.
think it would strengthen your
That's what I'm
position.
asking. That's what, I'm
personally.
asking the question. I'm just, because we keep hearing that we're St. Johns County. And I just don't want it to come back at us again without, I have no problem with,
You're not
having the
authorizing an
conversation with having
expenditure of
dialogue.
funds at this
I have
point, so I don't feel
dialogue.
like I don't believe you are putting yourself at any risk to authorize these
It would
conversations.
help St. Johns County economically.
no,
I think-
right now with Tallahassee, I'm just
Yeah,
very cautious, so
I think it would be.
I just want to make sure. So I don't have a problem with the MOUs.
This is consistent with your purpose, and I think that is what Tallahassee is largely concerned with.
Okay, okay.
Does anyone else have questions or comments? No. Okay, so you made a motion? Do we have a
I'll
second? Second. All in favor? No one
Yes.
opposed? Yes,
I
okay.
should say yes.
And then Dr. Shu's gonna come, are you gonna come next month and talk to us about it, or it'll take a little bit to figure out the MOU to bring to us?
We try, she will be here next Thursday.
Okay,
Detail
okay,
work on. First, they need money. She want to give money, how much you give. That's the basically, we need discussion, negotiation. For scholarship, it's very easy, but for the,
Operations,
for critical position,
right.
help our education, because we're doing the work already. When annual workshop, everything, she want to be part of that, support it. It's good for their center, good for us. Very lots of business to here for our people.
They had some great presentations at AMCA last year about what they have to do, and they also have to deal with all the other vectors,
Right.
which could open us up to be able to get more money to focus on the tick control, which is becoming such a bad problem here, so
Yeah,
I
that's what
think it's
education center
wonderful.
for. Yeah.
All right.
So do you want to piggyback the number 3 to this?
Number 3 to what? This is number
To
3.
discussion and approve of AMCD to be a sub-regional collaboration center?
You just vote, pass.
Yeah, that's what we
Is
just
that the
voted
same
on.
thing? Isn't that,
I thought we moved it from the board.
No, this is, we're not to
It's
4 and 5 yet. We're still on 3 at new
That's number
business.
3.
we're still?
Or the
on
grant
three?
agreement for.
That's a new business number 5,
And the-
number 6.
Right. So, and then,
And the-
Sorry.
okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. So now, Dr. Shu, Education Center,
Okay.
plan update? Yes.
Yeah, that's everybody concerned about here. We have a plan. Do anything, you have to have a goal, have a plan. Just take everything out of control, almost we should open 2 years ago. Yeah, with the last issue out of our control. And now Mr. Weaver and the other staff had good. And it's special deal with the construction. We just get like a net merit as a pass. Hopefully next couple months smoothly. We plan to open, grand open March 26th, have some kind of celebration. So we have about 200-300 people here join the workshop. Before workshop, try to invent some legislation. And before talking to congressman not available, they can look for our state local legislation. So the senator or representative, there's a finished session should be joined there. Use opportunity, can promotion and give some speech. So that's after we just a basic proposal. That's my thinker. Yeah. So that's why plan will be brief to March. Mid of March we have annual research, not research, education committee meeting. We can discuss in more detail, depending on what's going on. because they include workshop every year, March, we have an education committee meeting talking about that. So open hours is probably around 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And before Saturday, Tuesday, and Saturday, and Ms. Weaver's suggestion Monday, Tuesday could be closed, and open Sunday. We were discussing and in the community, education community, make the decision, look at what's going on. The people just thank you for the approval, the authority me discussing the regional. The regional can give funding one full-time position, that would be excellent. Just we need it, yeah. So that's looking for long-term contract, 5-year contract for the CTC grant, so they can, if they work good, they can extension another 5 years. The UF got the same thing, yeah, situation. So 5-year contract, full-time work education center. Also, we have some kind of inter-student. Currently, we have Mr. Dennis and the inter-student volunteer for 6 months. And every day I work there, he's coming every day, all as I may, he's joining there, help doing some kind of work, doing his project. Also, we just today have another UF, the one inter-student, help the education center doing some specific mosquito pin, some kind. So then we look at the budget. The budget, next budget year, really look at the normal contract full-time. We have to budget, set up one full-time to keep the business going on. Then we have some kind of education, we have education specialist, we have some kind of part-time assistant to run the program. You know, first year, second year, we have no idea how many people visit. We have to some kind of automatically track the people visit and sign in and some kind of idea.
We could get a square reader where
Yeah,
they
or
could just
because-
sign in. They don't have
Yeah.
to pay or
Yeah,
anything, but
right,
just
yeah.
to keep it.
So we need a,
tab.
Right.
also we need a really survey. I like the commission suggestion. Survey after the visit, what's they think about it. I know Commissioner Gina was brought the class coming here, including her children. After they ask, you like it? What's you like it? What's you don't like it? When you want to listen to them, get improvement. Also, something that the kids give you very good idea. That's very, very important. The school, we want to survey, going to get an improvement, get an input from everyone after the visit. So that's the basic plan. The facility maintain.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so when I asked for this information, thank you so much for giving us verbal stuff, but I actually need I'm a business person. I want an operating plan, like how many people, what's it gonna cost, when is it gonna implement? Is it gonna impact any of our current staff? Because my understanding is our current staff is already stretched. And if we're pulling people to train people in the education center, that's
Well,
not
we
right.
have the education specialist, and then she's gonna have 2 interns helping her. So we don't have to pull anyone.
And that education
That's correct.
specialist.
Also, we
and that-
hired
Can I,
entomology.
can I,
soon.
can I finish my comment?
Sure.
And that education specialist knows everything to know about that facility, has mosquito background, that she can train these interns. I'm really asking this question because it's not fair if we start pulling and pushing on current staff that I know are already at capacity. And that's not fair.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner LeBlanc, go ahead.
I think we're getting into micromanaging again. The director knows what he's doing, and
This is our responsibility as a financial decision that we have to make. We approve staffing, so that is a responsibility of this board, oversight.
oversight, not micromanaging.
I'm not micromanaging, asking to see a plan.
Well,
And if
she's
he-
right there.
And if you,
He
if,
has a plan, and I think we need to let him follow through with
I
it.
haven't, well, I'm sorry, I
Because for next
disagree.
budget year, definitely.
Words are not plans.
Have you met our new education specialist? Would you like to introduce
Hi.
yourself? Come up here, come to the microphone.
So if
Yes.
you get, what's the volume you think you could handle as an education specialist? What volume of people coming through that facility?
Well, hold on, this is her first board meeting, so let's,
It's a tough way to start, honey.
You mean like like a
So if
car
you-
day?
So let's say you get I don't even know what the capacity is at the center. Is it 450, 400 people?
It's 300 something.
300. If you got 300 people in one day, can you handle that?
Can I be honest with you?
Can you handle that volume coming through?
300 people, like
Let's
by
say, yeah.
myself?
Yeah, by yourself.
No,
I don't
They
think
don't
so.
work by themselves. They don't work by
Or the
themselves.
team.
Who are they
You're a
working with?
team, and they
Who's
pull
the
in
team? Who's the
interns
team?
and everyone else.
That's
Thinking-
the problem. This staff has a day-to-day job.
He's
It's-
hiring new people. You have to give him the opportunity
Yeah,
to
you
do
know, part
that.
of education. Everybody's job has a part of education.
Okay, folks, I'm trying to take care of current staff. And I know that when you brought your classroom through,
And she did a phenomenal
6
job.
people, in addition to her, were pulled.
They were interns. It was done well. It was done efficiently. They communicate with one another. Let the director and the manager handle this.
Okay, fine. You know what? You have your point of view and I have mine.
That's fine. We can agree
And
to
let's
disagree.
disagree.
I will add
Well,
to
we're gonna
this.
have 2 extra people, so now we'll have 3.
Well, so I will add to this, that the interns are 6-month positions, right? So they're going to continue to ebb and flow. And so, when we talk about that, and I think in Dr. Shu's plan, he does state that that's just for the first year, right? That we're going to have to do an assessment of what's coming through. Currently, with the education that's being provided, we're at maximum capacity with what's coming through. And that's with pulling 6 interns. Currently, we only have 3 interns, 4 interns. We'll be getting more, so yes, but it's a current training. But I think that, as Dr. Shu has kind of outlined, that he does have a plan of hiring people, but certainly we will need additional staffing to help facilitate the education, because not only in our education center, but Tomomi goes into the classrooms as well. So you have kind of 2 components there, right? You have the center, and then you have the education program that can combine both, but she can't do all of that while still going into the classroom and having to manage the education center, right? So it's
That's
kind
why
of
we're gonna
outlined.
hire a person for the museum, and she's gonna be our education specialist.
Right, and so
So
I-
here where it says the entomologist, is the entomologist gonna be that person? No.
Yeah, I already have my internal. I already depended.
Thank
Will
you.
be the facilities person? I don't think so.
But,
Those are 2 different
instruction,
things.
Well, I think as
But
Dr.
will the money from this Gulf South training, that money's gonna help us hire people for the education?
It'll hire a coordinator for the education center,
Okay.
right, Dr.
Yeah.
Shu? And then that entomologist position will be helping facilitate both organization with that person that's coordinating the museum, with the education specialist, as well as any interns or additional staffing as we determine, with what's coming through. I mean, right now,
I
we're
hope we
already.
hire 50 people, because we're gonna be so busy. That's what
I
I
mean,
hope.
you're not wrong on the fact that we're already giving tons of tours. We have a lot of homeschool groups that are coming through consistently, even repeat customers. So we
Yes,
have,
yes.
so Tomomi and the team are doing a fantastic job, but it isn't sustainable once we open with more people coming through. And I think that that's the plan that's there, but we have to assess it after the first year. But I can guarantee you that we're going to be having easily, 80-plus people potentially in a day with these education events. I mean, we're getting booked up already, and we're not even open.
That's what I was trying to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Dr. Shu's laid out a plan. We have some
We just don't
goals.
have 'em yet.
But I think it is honestly, thinking about the future, we might have to consider, additional staffing, which Dr. Shu is.
Really, thank you, appreciate Commissioner concerned about it, yeah. It's,
Mr. Weaver?
we do work hard, we look at, we not to drive about crazy, yeah. What I need, I really come to you ask. I need more people, please approve. I need more money, please budget amendment. Don't worry. I want to, I'm like, based on everybody.
You're not shy
Well,
about
really.
asking what we need.
Oh, you keep my money, always welcome.
But we did want you to say hi and introduce
Hi.
yourself.
Hi,
Sorry, we put you under the fire in your first
I was
month.
the intern for the 5 months.
Yes, I was intern first last January through May, and I got a master's degree of public health from University of Florida. But at that time, I was in Alaska, so I did most of the classes.
You were the one at the helicopter.
Yes,
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 we met. And by the way, I do want to do kudos because our interns have been really an asset. There was one in Tallahassee who actually spoke to, you remember that Democrat that said about our museum? She happened to have been at that meeting. and she actually said, basically dispelled I guess, the narrative, and you.
Yeah,
narrative
so
that was
one of
being-
our former interns, Cassidy Caridi, who
yeah.
interned here last year, she was part of Tallahassee Days, and she happened to be a floater, which means you kind of get put in going to senators or representatives' office that aren't necessarily in your district. And one had made a comment about AMCD, right? Oh, the museum. And since she had been our intern, she was able to advocate for us and what an excellent program we have and about the education center. And so that was, we were very lucky,
She
but I
actually
also
ran
very,
to us.
yeah. So,
She ran to us
Yeah,
to,
she did, like, we know you.
to alert us, like,
Yes,
oh,
yes.
Representative Hart is saying
right.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, nice,
Well, thank
So
you.
thank
We're
you. And I knew I'd
wonderful
seen
to
it.
have you here.
yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
I
Richard,
just
did you
wanted to
have
know- I just
a comment
care
you
about you
wanted
guys.
to make?
Me too.
Certainly.
I just
And
wanna
about you too, I care about you too, because I know you're doing a lot of work.
No, I get it. And I just want to make sure that everyone understands, it's multi-layered right now. There's the equipment and the things you need to open it. We've got a lot of that in place. We can count people. As a matter of fact, we already are counting people. We have a point-of-sale
Okay, so-
system, and I am counting people. I have comp tickets set up where I've counted people all week. We're testing the equipment. So the equipment side is there to do what we need to do. We're waiting for the employment side. Rudy's worked on that. You guys let him work on that MOU, which will allow us to hire the full-time person. We're probably going to need a part-time person also. It's going to be very fluid the first year, and I'm going to be very involved the first year. I know I am. I have ideas. I have written plans. I have stuff planning for attendance and how to do things and how to set things up and how to care for stuff that I've had written for years, since we started this. So it's not that we don't have a plan, it's just fluid, and we're trying to move into it. It's just like the
We keep getting
construction being
stopped.
behind. Everything's a little behind, but we're not behind the eight ball completely. We're ready for it. We're ready to be open. We're
And
ready
let me
to
tell
do
you
it.
where it was coming from, where my heart was before I was interrupted. We're coming up to budget season. I feel like rabbit season, budget season. And I just want to make sure that you guys are getting the support that you need from the board to properly staff, not only the museum, but the SIT building and ongoing operations. And that nobody's feeling like they're overwhelmed. Because at the end of the day, people need to have a balance. So that's where I was coming from.
And I appreciate it because believe me, I work way more than I want to work.
I know.
We all
You
know
know.
that.
We know that.
I think it'll be a lot clearer after our committee meeting in
March
March
is
too.
budget
Yes.
instruction, work emphasis include people, the labor, money. That was it, March is start of budget for start of.
Because we won't know. What if we have
Yeah.
one school a day? We don't want to hire
Yeah.
10 people,
Right.
but then can we manage it where, okay, it's the school at this time and we can use 2 people for 2 hours, or do we need?
Yeah.
It's all so up in the air. We just really have no idea. I hope we have to hire 100 people to
I honestly
facilitate
think we're going to be
it.
very pleasantly
so-
surprised. I think it's going to be a very
I
popular
mean-
place.
I think you have, do you have to recognize yourself?
I'm so ready to hit the road, but I gotta throw this at you. I am the newest section here. Okay, the aviation section is the newest section at AMCD, and over the last 4 years, it has grown from one helicopter to an aviation division. It has taken me 4 years to put together pilots, mechanics, and crew to do what we need to do to not spend the $300,000 from VDCI to support the science team, to support the ground crew pounders. I'm a support element, but man, wanting a written plan, if you'd have wanted a written plan for what we've got right now for the aviation section, it would be 3,000 pages and every day we'd be changing it again. If Dr. Shu and Richard has a comfort level of what they're trying to do to staff it, they gotta have flexibility, and this board couldn't have been more flexible with the disaster I had down there at the hangar. You got an aviation section now, but you can't put it in writing and say, this is what we're gonna do, because every day I roll in here and I open that door, the plan goes out the window.
I hear you.
I have 2 interns from the high school One of them's mom works at the deaf and blind school, and she's trying to get her students over here too. The two interns that I had one of the directors from the high school get involved with the St. Augustine School Board or the St. John School Board, and he's brought people over here. It's gonna grow, but if you
I will
want
tell
to,
you,
4 years
You
from
can't
now,
do a
you'll have
rep,
You know, I will
numbers.
tell you, done gazillion business plans, and if I told you that business plan every year hit 100% on the mark, I would be lying to you.
Right.
But you have to have, and I know you guys have the conceptual, what you need to do, and that if it hits this number, this is what, my concern is that you guys know that this board is here to support whatever staffing needs are needed. And that we're not just trying to,
Be a pain.
be a pain and keep costs down. I just want to make sure that we're not pulling from ongoing operations to staff the education center because we don't have staff.
Right.
That's my concern.
But we don't know what the
And
staff's
we
gonna
won't
be
know
for a
until we
while.
open.
Right.
But
I'm just
we
using
need
my
to have
section.
like Plan B back here. What
Right,
the heck
I'm
happens
just using
if
my
on day
section
one,
as
everybody
the-
comes?
The mission creep or the morph into what it is. What it is versus what it's going to be in 3 years, we don't know.
Oh, absolutely, agree with you.
So,
Thank you.
for your feedback. Appreciate that.
Yes. Dr. Shu, are you done with
Thank
the
you.
Thank you.
education? All right. So we're back to 4 and 5 on
And
the,
and for me, it's easy on the ones we pulled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, it's just a quick overview of what they are. I just not
Okay.
familiar with them.
yes.
Number 5 is Hurricane Training Grant, CDC and the National Association City County Health Officer. It's an association. We was a mentor. They appointed us as a mentor, gave us $15,000 training South Carolina, Beaufort County,
Beaufort,
and North Carolina, which county, also
Pender.
cost, yeah.
Pender County.
Pender County and Puerto Rico for how to prepare hurricane. If after the hurricane, how can we mosquito control doing the work? Today we have a Zoom meeting at 2 o'clock, so they share information, ask them what we can help you. We have the response plan. They're going to have a plan. He said, plan in here.
Yeah.
So we have everything, we try to help them. That's the reason, because our reputation, we was a nature mentor for twice already, training Gainesville mosquito, Georgia, Georgia, and Columbia County Department of Health. So they come get training, certification, AMCD, all this. They'll have the reputation. They appoint us, give us money, training. It's fun.
That's great.
It's,
Yeah.
Also, we hosted a workshop and April 23rd to 25th. So they bring people, 100 people here, use our EOC, use here, get training. So we bring lots of business for local. It's,
So that's
good
revenue
fun.
for us.
Yes,
Yes.
also revenue for us.
Always the revenue.
All right.
Just, yeah, that's probably
That's
need
how we
a,
roll.
yeah. We
Okay.
don't need to prove that. It's just considering the new board, what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't need to approve that separately since we took it out?
You will.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so anybody want to make a
So
motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Mentorship.
Nacho mentorship.
No, okay. Do we have a second? Ms. LeBlanc? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Okay.
Another one.
Number 5.
Yeah. So that's we doing workshop with beginning from USDA Center for Medical Agriculture Veterinary Entomology. So we together, I asked the director, because we created the workshop in 2004, training the local people and our state people, now to become international conference. Bring lots of business, annual, about 200-300 people join the workshop. So that's interesting that sometimes,
Our arbovirus
yes,
workshop.
our
So
workshop.
she knows.
Right.
Interesting that Florida Mosquito Control Association, FMCA, so sometimes they would like to let us use their name, FMC sponsor. Sometimes they don't. So I back to force every year before. Then later we have some kind of regional director say, okay, regional director agree, your board should support the regional director. So then we is called the Northeast Regional FMC meeting. So after this, I talking to USD, they said, okay, if FMC can help you, promotion you, it's a advertising and use their logo. I said it's a very good idea. Use there because we are member. They should have it there. We don't deal any money issue. So just talking, ask FMC, please let we use your logo, use their name to promotion the workshop.
But there's
More
no additional
scientific.
expense other than what we would have spent anyway.
No, that's only good for us, for our program, bring more business, they get more reputation, more promotion. It's only good for us.
This is gonna be
Alone.
our 20th one, right?
19th.
I thought last year was
19.
19, okay.
So
That's
we've
fine.
always
19.
done it.
Because
so
we
we've
missed
always
1 year.
co-sponsored?
It's 19th, yeah.
It's always been co-sponsored, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the, if the FMC for approval or not.
Yes.
Mr. President approval, okay. They approved, waiting let I use their
Okay.
name, that would be nice, yeah. So that can, last year we have so many people, 2 sessions here and hangar, this year again, here section, yeah, student section we have to conduct it.
All right.
Probably
Because then
around-
FMCA can promote it, so
Okay,
we can
yeah.
get more people.
Okay.
We don't pay anything for that.
Okay. I'm
So
good.
we need a motion to
Yes.
approve
I'll motion, I don't even know how to read it.
AMCD and FMCA.
MCA co-sponsored, I motion that we approve the AMCD FMCA co-sponsorship agreement for the annual workshop. Should we say arborvirus in it?
No, just annual.
Do we have a second?
It's just the annual.
That's
the
fine.
virus, yeah.
Commissioner LeBlanc, seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and no one opposed. Okay,
Report.
Mr. Rudy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a employee performance evaluation should be done next end of this month with annual performance evaluation. And the annual program report, you see on your table, it's just a draft. I need a board member, you have time, give input, correction. Yeah, your annual report. So there any correction, and like me and Either and the education specialist knew that, we can update her. There will be March board meeting in attachment. Doesn't need a vote, annual program report, just to get more information.
Okay.
So that's homework. So the other thing that yesterday we host the local pest control for pesticide training for the continuing education over 35 people. That yesterday we host the Savannah Charter County Mosquito Control Division. The director brought 10 people come here visit. So the interesting, the 20 years ago, about 20 years, 15, 20 years ago, as we went to Savannah, look at their new facility, our administration building lab, lots of idea copy from there. Now they grew too fast, they wanted to rebuilding, so that get here, everybody come here, get idea to there. I remember was that 2006, 2004, 5, 6, we have visited many times. Every new commissioner going to their visit many times. They're very support, get some lots of idea for that. So that every other day, that I knew that new visit here, visit. Except deal with Mr. Weaver, the business building. Last coming here, want to talk, take a tour, talk to visitor, special education, and SAT, a lot. So other things, they all get information, want to make appointment. Homeschool, and they want to come in. Tomorrow we have 8 people will be homeschool, come here, visit. They're sort of mostly interested in education. So that's the, we really become more popular. Look at very good for popular education and promotion. That's the basically that Secretary, I believe after March we get more and more people. Look at it's very good for us. Yeah. So other thing that we have one seasonal employee, Nicole last year, and worked very well. And the supervisor recommended we promote it to full-time technician, field technician, start Monday. So now we advertise it to recruit the entomologist that will be, last year, we do have a couple of interview for assistant director and interesting other job to look at what's happening. As interesting, we have just a few months. So you can submit it in intent later. So we deadline end of next Friday. Look, I was down started talking about it. Look, we are
To
doing
take over
interesting.
your old spot.
Yeah, the science, yeah. So we do interesting long-term, next few years, that's I just share information that we work on so many years for the center. We interesting future and have somebody help us cooperation with Navy, USD is we have already, and Real Beach we have people already. So we work together and develop a center for mosquito control research and education in Northeast Florida. That's our whole goal, whole plan. Currently, we are training workshop and visit with whole Florida, not only Northeast Florida. Our research testing of the machine, we build a machine for unit counting. We help other counting. Other counting, we last few years, the Panton counting, Clear counting, try to contact us, try to use our helicopter help them. All the machine bring here to calibration. They really become the center here. So that's the future. Also, we cooperation with the WHO. WHO, when people, scientists in charge, will be here March, specifically coming for the meeting for negotiate discussion our ICT. How can we provide it and Caribbean country for Aedes aegypti mosquito control? Also, West Nile, our CDC, the people in charge will be here. So we have March 25th afternoon, we have a collaboration consult meeting. I would like to invite our test invite our commission join. Look at what's happening. That's we purpose. I really don't care about the world international anyway. But we think about it, bring more business here. And they're coming here, bring technology, they bring their money. So there will be win-win situation. So they not only gain reputation, you can see the bring lots of, because we tax the people, we should serve the people, give people business, they can feel the uncomfortable with the tax. Other thing, I'm really happy to tell everybody, our major rate in the Florida special mosquito control, where the last one, both one, 0.18,
We're last.
We're the lowest.
lowest,
Like, of what?
15
Oh, the
special
military.
district,
Oh,
rate,
wonderful.
yeah,
Oh,
0.18.
Yeah.
Rest of all the 0.2 is all higher than 0.24. So they steady limited 1 mil.
Wow.
Much total different, yeah.
That's a big
Look
difference.
at the next year, we'll be going to 0.7, reduce again. Will be good for your campaign, but yeah. So that's that we can think about this.
Right.
So how can we go to this? This is not only a major issue. Thank you, British board. Thank you, employer. Bring what us said money, bring cooperation. Everybody say, oh, you have so many intern. Where the money come from? It's the CPC pay, ESC pay, the company pay, everything. Actually, we only budget pay for 2-3 interns. Rest of our money is coming from different way. So the way program, that's a save the money. So
Yeah.
really thank you, appreciate everybody employ hard work and make it happen here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shu. Ms. Myers.
I wanted to report that we have ordered your sunshine law manuals, and I hope to have them in March. The AGO is still finishing up its publication of the manual, which will be published online this month, but the hard copies will come next month. I hope I'll have the time for your meeting, but I don't know for sure, but
Okay.
I haven't forgotten. I just don't have them to deliver yet.
All right.
Is there a specific report you would like from me at this point in time? I'm not really sure what to expect.
I think we've worn you out tonight, so maybe not.
All right.
Okay. Is there anything in special that you would like to?
Yeah, there was something that came up at Dodd, the attorney for FMC actually was the one that brought it up, that we have to put on our website how to get public record requests and have a person assigned, a point person on it, not just a general number.
Like, we have the, for information,
Yeah.
contact Dr. Rudy Shu on the homepage on the
Yeah.
bottom, but we have to include the words, public information officer.
Yeah.
That is a
Which
recommendation.
could also lead to an opening of a job that we might want to think about having
Yeah.
in our next budget, to have a public information officer that
Yeah.
can talk to the media, can deal with all of our paperwork, all of our stuff for our,
Yeah. Figure out who's the one that's going to talk about it.
yeah, and, I can't think of the word now. We're a
That's
blank lab? Why can't I think of it?
Sit lab.
Yes.
No,
SIT.
no.
Okay.
Good practices, the GLP lab.
GLP.
Yeah.
So the GLP lab,
lab.
all our paperwork has to be,
Good
that's a whole job there. So that might be
Right.
something that you guys think about.
The assignment of a public records custodian is a recommendation that can
Yeah.
protect you from attorney's fees if you get into a fight about public records.
Yes.
So having that assignment on your website is one way to safeguard against that.
Yeah.
So we should put your name and number?
If you want me to be your public records custodian, I think it
No,
makes
I
sense
didn't know
for
what you
someone on the staff.
She
to-
said you need to have it there, but I guess
Right.
staff needs to figure out who that name is gonna be.
Yeah.
Right,
Um,
and assign someone that day.
Yeah, our 90% documentation in website, except our personal social
doesn't-
security,
it doesn't-
everything, just need
It
instruction.
It has to have
It
those
doesn't,
words
it
you
has
said.
to have those words on the
Okay.
website.
Verbiage.
Okay,
And it has to
Richard
have,
can do that.
and it has to have a
Yeah,
person
okay.
assigned to it.
Okay.
And you can be the
So
person.
you guys can
You just
fight
have
over
to- I
who
mean,
wants to.
I vote for Heather.
It just has to have no specific.
Heather's saying, thanks a lot. Heather's saying, thank
I
you.
made
thought it
another
was too
friend
good.
tonight, right? Okay,
Um,
all right. Commissioner LeBlanc, do you have a report?
No report, but I just want to thank all the staff for their hard work.
I'd like to apologize to the board and everyone here for losing my temper.
Okay. Apology accepted.
It happens to all of us.
Commissioner Gleason?
I'm happy. I'm tired.
Somebody write that
I'm
down.
tired. Thanks, staff. I just hope everybody understands that question was not micromanaging. I'm just very cognizant that we have multiple things going up. And I just want to make sure the staff
Cover it.
can cover it because, and don't be, I mean, please don't fear that the board is going to turn down every request, for staffing.
Commissioner?
Thank you. I have a couple things that are geared towards Amy more than anyone else. So in one of my classes, we were talking about a Supreme Court case that came out a couple years ago that you all might have heard, and it was the coach that did a prayer, right? So that went all the way. And so now for when Miss Brandhurst does our invocations, none of them can be religion specific. And I think we have a couple in there, like, so if we say Corinthians, blah, blah, then we're being specific to the Christian Bible. And like, so we can't have anything in our invocations that are specific.
If you're asking for my opinion, I don't completely agree with that. My understanding of the law is that you can't only have one religion. So if you cited to 1 Corinthians tonight, as long as you're not only quoting from the Bible in every prayer at every meeting, you're okay.
So could you look through our book just to make sure that
You could either speak or invite representatives from other faiths to give the invocation, and that's okay. One of the big no-nos, though, for an official who is leading is you can't begin with "Let us pray" and make it feel coercive.
Sure.
So, but yes, I'm happy to look.
I think Commissioner Brandhurst does a pretty good job of making it very inclusive of all.
I agree, but I just don't want somebody to
Right,
come
we don't want
in
it
and
to
hear
come
us
and
say
bite
one
us.
time
Right,
and then we get sued.
absolutely.
That's all.
Okay,
No,
yep.
you're right.
And the other thing was, with the new Senate and House bills that are being pushed, that's has a tentative date of July of this year, I think.
Oh, the effective date?
So somewhere around that. But what I'm saying is there any leeway that we could do stuff beforehand to include things like the King Charles Clause that could protect us in the future, like Disney did?
I don't know,
Could you look into
but
that?
I will, yes.
And then, thank you to all the staff and everyone that works hard, which is every employee that we have, because we have a phenomenal team. And it was really refreshing to be at a FMCA event and not hear everyone trash talking us. Instead, everyone was very happy, well, except for the museum. It was before your time.
No,
but-
FMCA, there was, Pasco County was saying, stop talking about us.
Yeah. Well, we had a pretty difficult time with lawsuits and other
Yeah.
things that put us in a bad light with FMCA. And so there's a long history there for some reason. So it seems like we're almost back to normal other than our museum.
I I'm just still curious why they're not talking about Pasco anymore.
All right, on that note, the meeting is adjourned.
I'm like,